Tonight, we take you back to Labrador for the end of a historic trip.
Premier Andrew Furey delivered 2 more apologies to residential school survivors today. We'll take you to Nain and here in Happy Valley Goose Bay, coming up on Here and Now.
1 month after homeless protesters pitched tents on Confederation Hill demanding better housing, the site is all but empty.
But it's pretty rare. It's like 1 or 2, maybe 3 animals a year, so it's pretty rare.
A rare and possibly first-time sighting of a right whale in Conception Bay South.
This is CBC Here and Now.
Good evening and welcome to Here and Now. Premier Andrew Furey delivered his final 2 apologies to Inuit residential school survivors today in Labrador. Our Heather Gillis has been in Northern Labrador following the Premier through Nunatsiavut for the series of apologies, and tonight she's live in Happy Valley Goose Bay, the site of the Premier's final apology today. So Heather, what more can you tell us?
Well, Carolyn, the Premier has issued 6 apologies now. That's in 3 days, and we started today in Labrador's most northern community, Nain, and wrapped up here in central Labrador and Happy Valley Goose Bay. Now, these ceremonies for survivors and their families have been full of pain, tears, and oftentimes tissues as well. And some of the survivors, they don't think they can accept the apology because they may never be ready to do so.
First stop today, Nain, a town of about 1,200 people, the hometown of Nunatsiavut President Johannes Lamp. He emceed the apology today in Inuttitut and in English. More than 50 people turned up to hear the apology. Rudy Lamp, a residential school survivor, accepted it on behalf of those who can.
Some survivors had a really difficult time, even horrendous times in the residential schools. Some have been really hurt, and some people just can't accept.
Rudy Lamp works with survivors and tries to help them heal.
I done also consultations with all survivors along the coast a few years ago, and there was a lot of recommendations put in there. And the biggest healer, I think, for us as an Indigenous people is going out on the land and being in nature and the animals and the seasons.
In this first step on the long road to reconciliation, Nunatsiavut President Lamp, like survivors who have been calling for action on top of the apologies, wants to work with both the federal and provincial governments to tackle the big issues and inequalities facing Labrador Inuit.
The impacts that have happened to Labrador Inuit, not just for residential schooling, but also for Labrador Inuit who were dislocated from their home communities, such as Hebron and Nutak. And so Labrador Inuit are living in intergenerational trauma. And so Labrador Inuit are hurt in mind, body, and soul.
But no concrete commitments from the Premier today, just promises to work together.
We know that an apology is only the first step in recognizing the wrongs that were done in residential schools. The path to reconciliation is long and bumpy and with all kinds of different twists and turns. But we have committed as a government to start the path of reconciliation with the NG and other Indigenous groups.
The final stop in a series of apologies, Happy Valley Goose Bay. It was the largest turnout, with another huluk lighting, symbolizing light.
Now, when it comes to all of these apologies, the Nunatsiavut apology is finished. That happened one day before the day for National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. 5 have been done in Nunatsiavut and 1 today here in Central Labrador. And as for the Innu Nation, well, the Premier says he is still working with them. However, it's worthy to note that they didn't accept the federal government's apology back in 2017. Now, as for Nunatsiavut President Johannes Lamp, he wants to see more apologies, this time from the International Grenfell Association and the Moravian Church. Carolyn?
Thanks so much, Heather. That's Here and Now's Heather Gillis reporting live from Happy Valley Goose Bay. Well, in St. John's, homeless protesters have left their Confederation Hill tent site. Today, the site where about a dozen protesters pitched tents a month ago is all but empty. The protesters initially said they wouldn't leave until they found safe, affordable housing. The number of people and tents at the site grew in the weeks after. Now, as the cold weather moves in, the site has been emptied. A provincial inspection has found significant concerns with the town's finances in Musgrave Harbor. Government assigned a comptroller in August, but the town is still waiting for someone to show up. Here Now's Troy Turner reports.
Beyond the endless sand of the beautiful beaches, the nod to history and heritage, and the rugged coastlines, the town of Musgrave Harbor is dealing with money trouble. This past summer, the Department of Municipal and Provincial Affairs said it heard of financial concerns in the town. It ordered a financial inspection in mid-August and found several irregularities. There was unrecorded invoices and unauthorized reimbursement of invoices, unreconciled cash, using a gas tax loan to cover other expenses, unauthorized credit card payments coming out of an operating account, irregular use of legislative signing authority, payments to reimburse employees not following best practices, monthly bank reconciliations not being completed. The town is also in arrears to the Municipal Assessment Agency. The appointment of a comptroller allows the department to control all spending in the municipality. No one from the department would do an interview, but according to a department briefing note obtained by CBC News, an accurate understanding of the town's current financial situation requires further analysis. Musgrave Harbor Mayor Jason Chalk wouldn't do an on-camera interview, but he did say the town is working closely with municipal affairs and will take any assistance it can give to help resolve these financial irregularities. He said in chatting with the department this week, it's still unclear when that comptroller will be in place. Troy Turner, CBC News, Musgrave Harbor.
Well, new offshore oil exploration has slowed to a halt in the province. Some say the lack of interest in our offshore potential is disappointing, but not surprising. Here now, Sarah Blackmore explains.
Every yellow section here represents a piece of the offshore that was up for grabs. The province's regulator put out a call in April with a November 1st deadline for anyone to submit a bid. That deadline is gone, and the number of bids, 0.
In some aspects, it wasn't unexpected, but obviously, as someone who's been involved in the industry for a long time, it's disappointing. The fact that we put up, 40 blocks of acreage in 2 separate basins and didn't get a bid. If there's no drilling, you can't produce it if you can't find it. If you can't drill it, you can't find it.
And this is not the first time that this has happened. In 2020, 16 parcels didn't get a single bid. So that's leading to speculation that the lack of interest in offshore is actually part of a trend.
I think it's a global thing. I mean, oil companies realize that there's probably 30, 40 years left, so they're going for the low-hanging fruit. And there's other areas of the world that you can produce a lot faster than here.
Strong says there are other countries where offshore exploration is actually thriving, partly because it's easier to drill elsewhere. The weather's better, there are fewer regulations, but Strong wasn't the only one who wasn't surprised about the lack of bids this year.
Disappointing, obviously. It's not often we see that. It might be obviously a trend of the times we're in, but I can't, and that's why I guess I can't say that I'm that surprised. I wasn't absolutely shocked. I mean, it's hard for me not to say that people look at the federal scene and perhaps does that impact on the investment decisions here in the province? I don't think I can say that it doesn't. Certainly from a provincial point of view, we've indicated and continue to indicate our support and interest. But it is what it is. It might be speaking to a bigger tone going on worldwide.
In a statement today to CBC, Energy NL CEO Charlene Johnson said, Energy NL remains confident in the prospectivity of our lower carbon offshore oil and our world-class supply and service sector, and will continue to advocate for the offshore oil and gas sector. Sarah Blackmore, CBC News, St. John's.
Oh, saw some sunshine earlier today, especially here in the metro area. Clouds have now rolled in, and we've got a few flurries and/or showers happening across the province, particularly in the west coast. Parts of the Avalon are seeing that as well. And then we've got that cloud cover working its way across the big land with some flurries on the way as we head through the night tonight. So the weekend forecast looking a bit unsettled. There is going to be some sunshine, but the one thing that I'm going to focus on is the fact that daylight saving time ends this weekend. So at 2 o'clock on Sunday morning, you are going to want to turn your clocks back, or they will turn back. This is a good time of the year to test your smoke alarms, your carbon monoxide alarms as well, and change those batteries. And then although we are going to see an extra hour of sleep, unfortunately those sunsets will be an hour earlier by Sunday night. Sunset at 4:30, and we will not see a 5 p.m. sunset until late January, early February. So make sure you do that, and we'll talk about the forecast when I come back.
Thanks, Ashley. Well, police say a man with a long history of sexual violence in Newfoundland and Labrador is facing more charges. 63-year-old Dennis Murphy is accused of sexual assault causing bodily harm and forcible confinement. This is in relation to an alleged assault against a 31-year-old woman earlier this week in downtown St. John's. In 2019, the RNC issued a warning about Murphy due to high-risk safety concerns after he was released from federal prison, and that's where he was serving a sentence for sexual offenses against young women. Well, the Treehouse in Pasadena is a nonprofit facility that offers free programs for young children. And this week it found a new home at the public library. Here and Now was there for its grand opening, complete with games, music, and a ribbon cutting. Have a look.
1, 2, 3. There we go. Excellent.
So Pasadena has a wonderful problem. Not a problem, let's just say it's a challenge because they have so many young families. And over the years, the numbers that attend our center have grown. So we have needed to move. We have moved, this is our 4th center. We moved from the first community center, we moved to Midland Row. And then we outgrew that space and we moved to the hub. And then with the town starting the new medical center, we moved in here. So we hope we are home, and we are so thankful and appreciative to the town for partnering with us and securing a wonderful space for us to offer programs.
When I first moved to Pasadena, I didn't know anyone in town, and my neighbor told me that if I wanted to get to know people, that I should join Treehouse because it's where I would meet mom friends, and it's also a good place for her to get the kids out and so that they could meet friends. And it was just a nice place to go to relax, to just break up time, just to talk to other people besides my kids and to talk to other moms. This new location is amazing. Like, the old place was nice, and when we heard it was going to close, we were all sad, like, oh no, we can't imagine going anywhere else. But now that we're here and see this place is much smaller, much cozier, much more intimate than the old place. It's kind of like a bittersweet moment because, like I said, when we heard the other one was closing, like, we didn't know what to expect with the new location, but it seems to be like better than ever, and we're just glad to be back.
We are at Xavier Junior High in Deer Lake, and you're watching Here and Now on CBC.
Well, Ashley, it's Friday and a pretty decent fall day out there today. Chilly, but not bad.
Yeah, it started off a little chilly this morning, but that sun certainly felt nice. Took the dogs for a walk this morning, and you can certainly feel the warmth of that sun out there. Temperatures ended up reaching about 6 degrees in St. John's, 9 in Cape Race. Winterland also picked up a temperature, or sat around 9 degrees today, and pretty much just into the single digits. Up across Labrador, most of you were sitting above zero or just below. For those of you in Nain, at about -2 this afternoon. The temperatures, though, from yesterday, warm, 2 to 4 degrees warmer, in fact, and up across Labrador, most of you are sitting somewhere between 1 and 3 degrees above where you were yesterday at this time, and a tad cooler in Nain. So if we take a look at where we're sitting now, the temperatures have dropped a little bit, a bit of a wind chill in there as well, feeling more like -2 in Gander at the moment, and up across Labrador, feeling more like -6 in Lab City. So if we take a look at what's going on, got a ridge of high pressure in place. Those winds have definitely eased off from where they were yesterday. We've got our next weather maker, an area of low pressure, moving into Labrador, especially as we head through the night tonight. And then that will be our weather maker as we head through to the weekend. So the light winds tonight will change. We will see those winds pick up as we head through into tomorrow. But if we take a look at what's going on right now, those winds onshore on the west coast, it is sparking some showers, potentially some flurries up in the higher elevations, and then we've got some showers across the Avalon as well. Just stop the radar picture there for you to give you a better idea of what's happening. So we may see that potential, or we will see that potential for showers and or flurries continue for a good chunk of the night tonight, especially towards the coast. Now, areas through central, you're likely going to just see some partly to mostly cloudy skies tonight. And then we've got some snow, and that will work its way from Lab West through to northern Labrador as we head into the early morning hours tomorrow. And then along the south coast, you can expect some periods of rain to develop in the early morning hours. They're going to roll through fairly quickly, but we do have some more rain on the way. Those winds will be light tonight, generally out of the south or southwest, somewhere between 15 to as much as 20 kilometers per hour. Overall, those temperatures will be hovering above zero, except in those low-lying areas through central, where you'll hover near or just below zero tonight. And then as far as Labrador is concerned, temperatures generally 1 to 4 degrees, but cooler, especially as you head towards the west. And your winds will be breezy tonight as well, 40 to 60 kilometer per hour winds. That means your wind chills will be chilly tonight as well. So as we head into tomorrow, that snow is going to work its way further east across Labrador towards the coast, though, and especially towards the southeast. You are going to see that fall as rain. And then the rain will work its way towards the west coast of the island. Likely showers will linger and head east through the day, and we're also going to see those winds really ramp up. We're talking about winds gusting between 60 to as much as 70 kilometers per hour, and that will happen right through to the evening hours. Eventually, we will see those clearing skies, though, and as far as the precipitation is concerned, the snow for Labrador, you're talking about generally 2 to 5 centimeters, so nothing super significant, but we could see some pockets of heavier rain, especially towards the west coast, where we could pick up somewhere between 20 to 30 millimeters of rain in those heavier showers. Now, as far as temperatures are concerned tomorrow, we are going to see a bump up in those temperatures. That southerly flow bringing that warmer air in, about 10 degrees for eastern Newfoundland, 7 to 8 for the rest of the island. And again, those winds between 50 to as much as 80 kilometers per hour tomorrow. And for Labrador, the central and southeastern half of the island is going to sit somewhere between 5 and about 7 degrees through tomorrow. You're going to stay on the cold side in Lab City with those flurries continuing through the day. But other than that, as we head into Sunday, we are looking at some clearing skies for most of Labrador. Your temperatures are going to drop like a rock, though. I'll have all the details when I come back.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Ashley.
No problem.
Well, a rare sighting this week. A critically endangered North Atlantic right whale was spotted near Long Pond in CBS. And fortunately for scientists, it was all captured on camera by someone who prefers to remain anonymous. I spoke with marine mammal researcher Jack Lawson about why this sighting is so special and concerning. What can you tell us about this right whale?
Well, it's really interesting because it's, of course, a rare species, but on November 1st in the afternoon, someone was out in Conception Bay off Long Pond, off the marina, and spotted this large whale. So they took some pictures and they submitted it to someone who knew me, sent it to me, and I right away recognized it as a right whale. And luckily, the photos were good enough that we were able to send them down to a colleague in the New England Aquarium who maintains a big catalog for right whales, and they were able to identify this animal.
How do you identify a right whale from a picture?
Well, there's sort of, people are probably familiar with humpbacks here where the back of the fluke will have a certain markings and you can identify them. For right whales, they have these things called callosities. So on the top of their nose and sometimes along their jaw, they have these white markings, and no two whales are the same. And so this is a female that was 10 years old. She's just 10 years this year, but has never been identified in Canadian waters before.
So what does that tell you?
Well, we know so little about a lot of right whale movement, so they estimate that probably a third of the population of only 356 whales, but about a third of that population doesn't show up every year. They don't know if they're offshore, they're up in Canadian waters maybe. All the models for their food suggest that as climate warms, as the water gets warmer, the copepods that they prefer move north where the water's cooler, and we're north.
The copepods?
Yeah, so they eat these little bugs in the water called copepods that have a fair amount of fat in them at certain stages in their life cycle. So they're really a preferred food for right whales. And in the case of Long Pond, there's also a lot of young mackerel out there feeding on these copepods in the same place.
So this particular whale has never been in these waters before, but how unusual is it to see any kind of right whale in that area?
I was looking back through the sighting records, and we have none in Conception Bay. We have some on the outside, and in the last few years we've had right whales on the north coast of Newfoundland, so we're off Bonavista, further west from there in towards White Bay. So, but it's pretty rare. It's like 1 or 2, maybe 3 animals a year, so it's pretty rare. But it's one of these things where if the conditions aren't right, and people knows what conditions are like here in the wintertime or in the fall weather, even with the winds, conditions have to be pretty good to be able to see these animals, to identify them. They don't have a big dorsal fin. They're not really sort of fancy display animals like a humpback would be. But you have to be fairly close to get a picture that's good enough to identify them.
How concerning is it for you to see this unusual sighting, to see whales in places where they usually aren't swimming in?
As a scientist, it's exciting to see this animal because she's just becoming an adult now, so she could start having a calf anytime. So it's exciting for the population, but it's a bit terrifying because we know there's lots of vessel activities in the area where she is feeding. And in particular, there's herring seine operations in the bay. We know the Bell Island ferry's going back and forth, not very far away from where she was feeding. So all these things are risks to right whales, and we know that they tend to blunder in front of vessels at times, and they're oblivious when they're feeding, so they can be struck by a vessel. So it's sort of a gift that you want to see, but at the same time, I'd really wish she was offshore somewhere else.
And this is a critically endangered species. Can you talk a bit about the status of the North Atlantic right whale right now?
Sure, as you say, they're critically endangered. We had a revision of the population last year that said that instead of only 340 whales, it might be as high as 356 whales in 2022. But that's a handful of animals for something that's so large, and there's less than 100 reproductive females out of that. So any animal that's potentially lost have a huge impact on the population. And here we have a potentially breeding female in waters where we're not necessarily expecting them like we would say in the Southern Gulf.
And I guess this is a good reminder too that it's always great to take a picture if you're out and about on the water and you see something.
Exactly. This is something I went out a couple hours after the report was made, and I didn't see a thing, and it was beautiful conditions and could see birds and loons and all kinds of things. No right whale. So if it wasn't for this person taking images, we wouldn't know. Yeah. And so that's why I always say, citizen science is getting more and more important as people have these excellent cell phone cameras now, and anybody can take pictures and post them on social media or pass them along to us. That's great.
Yeah, we wouldn't be talking about this right now if it weren't for that. So thank you to whoever took that picture.
Exactly.
Jack Lawson, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Carol.
Crippling grocery bills, unaffordable rent, gas tanks that are always half empty. We're in a cost of living crisis, and it's taking a toll on families, students, and average earners. Join us for a new series as we meet people in this province juggling multiple jobs to make ends meet, burning long hours just to cover the basics. The Grind airs Mondays on Here and Now.
Premier Andrew Furey's visit to 6 Labrador communities this week was a historic and long-awaited event for many of Nunatsiavut's residential school survivors and their families. We spoke with some of them about how they feel about the apologies. Here's some of what we heard.
The wife is in residential school. She passed away about 6 months ago, I suppose. So it was good to get the apology.
It is my hope that in coming to Postville and expressing with complete sincerity that I am sorry supports you in your healing journey.
Our people have demonstrated overwhelming courage, strength, and overcoming numerous barriers and challenges. Healing is a journey, and it is never too late to start.
It's finally happened. We heard about it, people talked about it. We lived with it. We lived with the trauma of being taken from home and gone to a strange place. It changed our lives. So having the apology, hearing the apology today, and the sincerity of the Premier was it was heart lifting. This is the first step, the first small step towards reconciliation. And there's a lot that needs to be done. There are so many outstanding issues.
A lot of our family members have been a part of the residential schools system, and we feel like it's a part of our duty to stand here on their behalf.
It was a hard week leading up to today. Mine was just racing, the emotions and everything. Now that today is over, oh, I can see now there's been more weight lifted off of my shoulders now that we had the apology. My work here with the residential schools is done, but when you look at the picture in whole, it's never done.
Well, according to a new report from Stats Canada, 1 in 3 Canadians are experiencing financial hardship. We're diving deeper into the ever-rising cost of living in a new series which kicks off on Monday on Here and Now. It's called The Grind, and it takes you behind the statistics to look at how inflation is playing out in this province. And here to tell us more is Here and Now's Malone Mullins. So Malone, how did this series come about?
So a few of us in the newsroom actually noticed that we were doing all of these stories about the cost of living, but not necessarily seeing how it's playing out for people at home, at work, and in their daily lives. And a lot of us actually know people who are taking on second jobs or working longer hours, either to pay for the very basics or to try to maintain their lifestyle. And if they're not earning more, they're cutting back on expenses or they're taking on more debt.
Okay, so how did you get people to open up about this? It's pretty personal stuff.
Yeah, we didn't have much trouble finding people in this situation. As you said, new data shows 1 in 3 people are struggling to pay for food, shelter, and transportation. So we wanted to hear from those taking on more work to make ends meet. We spoke with a middle-class family that's feeling the financial squeeze. We spoke with a master's student who's juggling 3 jobs and says they're completely burned out and broke, and to a therapist who walked away from the career that she loved for another job that helps pay for food. So here's someone who's taken on a second job, not for fun, but out of necessity.
So if I never had that second job, right now a paycheck would be paid literally paycheck to paycheck. There would not be any extras. When you go get groceries, you're definitely not buying steak. You're definitely not buying those extra veggies that you could before. You were buying things that you could really learn to spread out. There'll be more hot dogs on our dinner plate.
Okay, so Malone, we've reported a lot about the rising cost of living right across the country. Is that the reason behind all of these financial struggles?
Yeah, so we actually spoke to experts across Canada for the story. We talked to Walid Hijazi. He's an economist with the Rotman School in Toronto, and he says that rising inflation and interest at the same time have had this massive ripple effect on prosperity in this country. And you pair that with lower wages, a growing gig economy, and precarious work, and it's causing a lot of damage to the quality of life that we've come to expect in Canada.
It's sad in a country like Canada where people have to work 70 hours a week and even then barely make ends meet. That's not the Canada that we want. And that's why these disturbing trends on Canada's sliding prosperity relative to our trading partners must be reversed.
So as Hijazi says, Canada is falling behind, and I think we'll see that play out on a personal level throughout this series.
Okay, thanks so much for this, Malone. Malone Mullen will be bringing this new series to us called The Grind, Mondays on Here and Now, and it all starts this Monday.
The pews at the Anglican Cathedral in St. John's are filled with quilts this weekend. I'm Jeremy Eaton, and I'll tell you why. In fact, I'll actually stitch together that story coming up.
A tailor-made attraction by quilt-loving communities. Watch Festival of Quilts, Sunday at 11:30 and Monday at 7.
If you take a quick look around, you'll see that sewers in St. John's have been keeping themselves pretty busy. Dozens of these homemade wares are on display at the Anglican Cathedral today and tomorrow for an event called Quilts, Hooked Rugs, and Stitching. Now, this is something that you might not have known about, so let me tell you. Looking around this church, it's pretty fascinating. It's pretty beautiful. What can people expect to see this weekend down at the Anglican Cathedral?
Well, they'll expect to see a lot of fabulous hand-done quilts, some rug hooking, and a little bit of stitchery, embroidery work.
How many years has this event been on the go, Donna?
This is our third year.
So you started sort of at the end of COVID, and how was that?
At the end of COVID, we started. It was just kind of, I guess, to give people something to look forward to.
And how has the event grown in the last 3 years?
This is the third year now we've added in the rug hooking and the stitchery, and it's continued to grow.
And how many people do you expect, or how many people have turned up in the last couple of years, and how many people are you expecting this year, do you think?
We usually get several hundred, and we're expecting as many, if not more, this year.
I know that this is putting you on the spot, but how many works do you have on display, Donna?
We have about 170, I think.
And where do they come from?
They come from all areas around St. John's. It's open to anybody to put their work in. It's not judged. So anybody at all is free to put in their work. If you want to sell it, you also have the opportunity to sell.
Does any piece of work stand out to you, Donna?
Well, there is a piece that we have displayed up in the front by Karen Colburn Martin. It's a landscape, and that one's pretty spectacular. We've got some hand stitched, they're all in their own ways, pretty nice.
Are there many events like this where quilters and sewers and stitchers get to show off their works like this?
Usually what happens is the quilt guilds have a show every couple of years. The one here at the Cathedral is really the only one in the city. Last year St. Mary's Church did a similar event, and then there's events out around different parts of the province, similar type thing.
And how did you come about this partnership between you and the Anglican Cathedral here in downtown St. John's?
Well, I'm a parishioner here, and it's 3 years ago, one of the other parishioners, Jan Bewley, brought the idea to the dean, and it started, and we've just continued on because it was such a success.
Now, I wanted to circle back really quick. Rug hooking and stitching, that's new this year. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Well, last year at the show, the rug hooker, Heather, asked me if she could be part of the show, so we decided to expand into that. And Susan Furnow, who is looking after the stitchery, I had approached her and asked her if she'd be interested in also being part.
Now, the details, if somebody wanted to come in and check out some of these works, when will the church be open for people to view it?
We're open from 12 to 6 today and 10 to 5 tomorrow. It's $5 or whatever you want to give at the door.
You said that this piece was done by a retiree. Who are these quilters? Or are they young? Are they old? What sort of demographic are we looking at putting these together, Donna?
There's a whole mixture in there. It used to be older people. Now we get a lot of young people, actually. I teach a Learn to Sew class, and I get a lot of young people who are getting into quilting. And then there's your retirees as well.
When you talk to the young people, do you ask them why they want to get into it, and what do they say?
I think they just like the idea of doing something with their hands and, something that occupies their time. And they like the beauty of the quilts as well. And being able to, do their own work, their own designs.
Halloween has come and Halloween has left, and next is my favorite holiday, Christmas. I'm already full of the Christmas spirit, so I'm wondering when others start Christmasing. I'm going to go find out. Let's go. When do you think the Christmas spirit starts?
Well, it should start now, but I can't say I've got it.
When does your Christmas spirit start?
Right after Remembrance Day.
I would say after Remembrance Day, just because I had family that was in the war. So for me, just for their memory, I feel like they deserve that time because what they did for the country was really important.
When do you think you can start Christmasing?
Now.
Why now?
Because it's cold and it's exciting for her. It's fun.
Right now.
Why right now?
I think 2 days ago, right, I woke up and I saw the snow, and that made me feel like it's Christmas already.
So when do you start Christmasing, decking the halls?
When do I start Christmasing? That's a good question. Probably like right around finals. Finals are over and you got all the stress, and then you can start focusing on Christmas, buying Christmas gifts, partying and stuff like that.
When would you start planning and buying your presents and things?
I have already started. I have already started for my siblings' gifts and stuff like that.
And when does your Christmas spirit start?
November 1st.
Why November 1st?
Halloween is over, Christmas starts on November 1st.
Well, we spoke earlier about new data that shows more Canadians are working multiple jobs just to get by. Well, national unemployment rose slightly in October. There were fewer jobs in the retail and wholesale trade, as well as in manufacturing. Employment increased in construction, also in the information, culture, and recreation sectors. In all, the economy added 18,000 jobs last month. Not enough for the employment rate to rise as the pace of job creation trailed population growth. October marks the fourth increase in the jobless rate over the past 6 months.
On the issue of Canadians and their families in Gaza, we are encouraged by the assurances that Minister Joly received from Israel and from Egypt that Canadians and their families will be able to leave Gaza in the coming days.
Well, that's Prime Minister Justin Trudeau talking there about the more than 400 Canadian citizens, permanent residents, and family members still in Gaza. Trudeau was in Washington today at the America's Partnership for Economic Prosperity Summit. U.S. President Joe Biden was hosting leaders from 11 other partner countries to talk about trade. Well, New York's Bronx Zoo is showing off 2 new additions, a pair of snow leopards. Now, snow leopards live in the high altitude regions of Central Asia. In the wild, their white fur and gray spots make them nearly invisible among the snow and rocks. These top predators are under threat in their natural habitat because of poaching and changing climate. Well, it's Friday, so let's find out who's celebrating. Happy 72nd anniversary to Violet and Jim Wells from Cox's Cove. Congratulations to Luke and Eunice Lawrence of McIvers, who are marking 59 years of marriage. Happy belated 63rd anniversary to Kay and Bill Janes of Corner Brook. Wishing Aubrey and Dorothy Woodman of New Harbor a happy 61st wedding anniversary. Happy 61st wedding anniversary also to Mary and Dennis Coffin of Mount Pearl. 50th anniversary greetings going out to Madonna and Anthony Murphy of Charlottetown, Bonavista Bay. Happy 70th anniversary to Herb and Ada Norris of Deer Lake. Congratulations to Fred and Joyce Johnson of Deer Lake on their 65th wedding anniversary. Happy 55th anniversary to Joe and Bonnie Thorne in Lewisport. And it's a golden anniversary for Oliver and Minnie Pelly of Harcourt. Congratulations. Wishing Marguerite and Thomas Loader a happy 69th wedding anniversary. They're from Buckens and now live in CBS. Wallace and Olive Buckle of Fort Tow Bay, now living in St. John's, are marking 66 years of marriage. Happy 62nd anniversary to Lionel and Doris Pinkson of Sealed Cove, White Bay. Congratulations to Harry and Shirley Chipman from Mount Pearl, who are celebrating their 60th anniversary. Happy 51st anniversary to Frank and Ann Byrne of Kilbride. Wishing Frank and Tish Trowbridge of Arnold's Cove a happy 56th anniversary. Happy 57th anniversary to Jim and Marie Marshall of West St. Modeste in Labrador. Now to some birthdays. Happy 90th birthday to Norman Butt of Swift Current. Happy birthday to Grace Blake of Gander, who just turned 90. Happy 91st birthday to Doris Simmons in Mount Pearl. Sending 100th birthday wishes to Shirley Birmingham, aka Mrs. B. Happy 98th birthday to Eleanor Burke of St. John's. Best wishes to Ray Walsh of Brigus, who's celebrating his 90th birthday. Birthday greetings going out to Edna Coles, who's celebrating her 95th birthday. She's from Savage Cove, but now lives in Flowers Cove. Gertrude Gills of Conroy turned 94 last week. Hope you had a great birthday. Happy birthday to Robert Gullidge in Kelligrews. He's turning 92. Birthday greetings going out to Albert Dober of Marystown. His 93rd birthday is Sunday. Happy 94th birthday to Audrey Sparks of Bay Roberts. Love from all your family and friends.
Ashley.
Okay, so this little viewer isn't old enough for our birthdays and anniversaries, but I just had to share this video of my #1 fan. Apparently, this is 11-month-old Gabe Jador, and his mom and dad tell me that whenever I'm on the TV, I have Gabe's full attention, and that he's been doing that since he was 6 months old. How adorable is that?
Oh, that is just so sweet. My goodness. Hi, Gabe.
Yeah.
I hope he's watching now. We better give Gabe what he wants, though. Ashley, let's talk about the weekend weather.
Yes.
That's so adorable. Yeah.
Apparently my batteries are off, not working.
Oh.
Oh, I don't know. He sent me that. Oh, okay, good. I was like, I just changed them. There's no way.
I have a spare right here in case you need to change them, but they're good. They're good. They're good.
We're
all
good.
good.
Yes. Hi, Gabe. Hopefully you're paying attention to the weather. Yeah, we're going to talk about the weekend weather. Let's go right into it.
Excellent.
So by the time we get into Saturday evening and then eventually Sunday, we are looking at some clearing skies. For the most part, we're seeing a few showers in play as well, especially as we head into the morning. But we should see some sunshine to start. That will be nice. And a few flurries are working their way across the eastern or the western portion of Labrador weather, and they'll stick around through a good chunk of the afternoon. We'll likely see some scattered flurries here and there, but more shower activity will continue to move in, especially across the island. And we're going to hang on to some of the milder air through the day as well. Around 10 degrees will be the afternoon high in St. John's. Through central and the western portion of Labrador, we're talking about 6 to 7 degrees as your daytime high, and then cooler for the northern peninsula. You'll be hovering around the 1 degree mark. So you may see a few flurries in the way or on the way as well for your Sunday. And then Labrador, you'll see your temperatures drop through the afternoon. We're looking at temperatures into the minus single digits, about -5 in Lab City. through the afternoon with that chance of flurries in the mix as well. So Sunday evening, that will roll through. We'll likely see some clearing skies again for Monday morning, maybe a few lingering showers through eastern portions of Newfoundland, particularly along the northeast coast. And then for Labrador, some flurries again for those of you in the west. Some of those might make it towards central areas of Labrador through the afternoon on Monday as well. But we are going to see those temperatures drop, and they're going to drop right back down below where we should be sitting this time of year, typically between 7 and 9 degrees. So the 1 to 4 degrees is definitely below where we should be sitting. Labrador, you're looking at your temperatures around 1 degree for Cartwright, 4 in Lab City, as we look at our temperature into around minus, or with the chance of some flurries, I should say. Now, as far as the 5-day forecast is concerned, we've got those double digits both Saturday and Sunday, but like I said, dropping down. We'll see a bit of relief as we get into Wednesday with the chance of some wind, it looks like, and some rain as well. So we'll see that move right back in. Temperatures warming though, about 7 degrees through the afternoon. Then for central Newfoundland, we'll see a bit of a break on Monday. By Tuesday, return of either showers or flurries, or at least the chance of some of that. And then warming up as we get into Wednesday. Some showers certainly possible. That will be the story for western Newfoundland as well, with a temperature around 8 degrees. Now, for those of you in eastern Labrador, looking at some, showers on Monday, clearing Tuesday. Wednesday looks like some light snow will move back in, hovering around the 0 degree mark. And then for western Labrador, your temperatures will stay below 0, and you'll look at that chance of flurries by the time we get into Wednesday. This shot, a beautiful photo. This is Bucky's Lookout in Stephenville, and Michelle shared this lovely shot with us. If you have any, you can send them to Facebook, or best place though, email them to nlphotos@cbc.ca.
Oh, I'd love to sit there all bundled up with a nice cup of coffee and watch the sunset. Beautiful shot. Thank you so much for that. And I guess good time to remind people, you were talking about it earlier, about the clocks falling back.
That's right.
On Sunday morning. That's right. Was it 2 a.m.? Yeah. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough.
I know.
It's a hard time of year, right?
is.
Because it's so dark. I'm really feeling it. But we'll adapt. We'll adjust. We always do.
At least you get your morning back a little bit.
That's right.
For now.
Yeah. Those morning walks.
Yeah,
it's a little bit brighter.
Yeah,
That's a good thing. All right. Well, that is it for us on this Friday night. I hope you have a wonderful weekend.
Good night.